The goal of financial aid is to assist students in paying for college. We look at a family's ability to pay for educational costs. We do have limited resources, so we have to look at ways to distribute those resources in an equitable manner. And we do try to provide a balance of gift aid, which is the free money, and the self-help aid, which is the work, study, and loans. Keep in mind that the financial aid package you have might not cover all your expenses, so you may need to be looking at either parent loans or alternative loans or paying part of the cost out of pocket. One word you might start hearing is need analysis. That's kind of the basic formula we use to determine what types of aid and how much a student can receive in each type of aid. The principles of that, it's a congressional formula that was developed, and the principles that they used to develop that were, to the extent they're able, parents do have the primary responsibility to pay for educational expenses for their children. They do expect students to contribute as well. They evaluate families in their present financial condition, but they do understand that things change. For example, for the upcoming 11-12 year, they're going to look at your 2010 tax information, and things can change from year to year. So if you have something like a loss of a job, a divorce in the family, some other real special circumstance where you feel that 2010 year really isn't an accurate reflection of your family situation, contact the school you're attending. The schools are the ones that are able to make exceptions. You can't do that right through the federal government. You have to do it at the school level. But let them know there's usually some additional paperwork you'll need to fill out and some documentation you'll need to provide. But if they can help you out, they're usually more than willing to do that. So that free application for federal student aid we talked about, that's how they determine what your actual, part of what they use to determine what your actual financial need is. It's used to apply for all federal aid. A lot of the state financial aid is based on that, and some schools use it to determine their institutional aid as well. And the data that's put in there is used to calculate something called the expected family contribution. That expected family contribution, again, it's a formula developed by Congress. It's not necessarily what your family's actually going to pay, and most folks go into sticker shock a little bit when they first see what that expected family contribution is. One old definition was it's the amount of money a student and his or her family may reasonably be expected to contribute towards the cost of students' education for the academic year. Most people don't feel that it is reasonable, so it becomes more of an index that schools use to determine how much financial aid a student can receive and the different types of financial aid a student can receive. The other component in determining a student's financial need is the cost of attendance. And that's going to be different from school to school because it's the tuition and the fees that are going to be charged, room and board, regardless of whether a student is living on campus and getting billed for those costs directly or if they're off campus paying rent on their own. Books and supplies, they can include costs for a personal computer, personal expenses, travel expenses. Those are the main components. You'll see there are some additional components up there as well. If students have some exceptional costs related to them going to school, schools can take that into consideration. It's usually more on a case-by-case basis. The basics are going to be your tuition and fees, your room and board, your books, supplies, and travel expenses. And the next slide shows that calculation, which looks very simplified. It's simply the cost of attendance minus that expected family contribution gives us your financial need. It's not the empty pockets that guy shows out there. There's a little bit more of a formula to it. One thing to keep in mind when you're comparing schools is that financial need does vary based on costs. The expected family contribution that is calculated from that federal form is going to stay the same essentially from school to school, but because schools cost different amounts, your need from one school could be different than your need from another school. A very expensive school, you're going to show a lot more financial need because the difference between those costs and that expected family contribution is going to be greater.